What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 42. I am Bret, aka Enigma 9011, and once again, returning to the podcast, we got Dio, aka Mr. Dio 24/7. Remember, guys, you can catch the podcast live every first and third Saturday of the month over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011, where you can join in the chat, join in the conversation with us, and talk about the topics and stuff like that. If you can't catch it live, that's A-OK. You can catch it over on youtube.com, search Enigma9011, or it's broken out topic by topic, and then at the end of the week, put it as one big video. And then last but not least, it's that hashtag ad. We are sponsored by the merch store, so you can get all of your Enigma 9011 swag over there. T-shirts, cups, backpacks, and more. So check it out. Rep the brand. Help us out. That'd be greatly appreciated. All right, Dio, how are you doing today, good sir?
Well, feeling pretty good. It's Wednesday, right? Hump day.
Yep.
Definitely feels like a hump day.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of licking my wounds, just kind of training up for the possibly next week. Just kind of getting some more experience, man.
Nice.
But other than that, just keeping my eye on the prize.
Mm-hmm.
And one round at a time. So.
All right.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, man.
Nice.
Looking forward to start to work out a bit more, get that cardio in,
Mm-hmm.
PDR.
There you go.
So it's good when you play and local barcade and the pad actually works. You go out a crowd of like 15, 20 people watching the big guy move so fast. So,
Mm-hmm.
It's always good.
There you go. There you go. So, Dio, you were on before. I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but last time you were on, we definitely talked a lot about wrestling, which we are going to talk a little bit more about later. But I kind of want to touch on a different aspect, at least for you, that I know you're a big fan of, and it's a big part of your life, and that's the fighting game community and fighting games in general. So I kind of wanted to pick your brain and kind of hear, like, where your beginnings were in the fighting game, like how you got into fighting games, what were games that like maybe stood out to you or got you into the fray and stuff like that, and then I kind of go from there. So I guess let's start from the beginning. How'd you get into fighting games?
That's a good question, man. Actually, it was a family-oriented event. Whenever I would go to my cousin's house, starting around, I think the earliest I can remember was about 5 or 6. My cousin Ian was definitely like one of the best players to ever grace Street Fighter these days, which is actually where I started. I would have to say we used to go to this little corner market back when arcades was a thing,
Mm-hmm.
and had a Street Fighter 2 and I believe an NBA Jams, but we would always go over there like $5 or $6 just to play on Street Fighter, man. And then the local round table was always festive, man. Like we would go there and there would be like lines of like 10, 15, 20 people on an hourly basis.
Wow.
Wreck everybody. And it's great because I would run out of quarters and then we would have to wait till he gets done.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, that's awesome. You get to take all those quarters, I mean, back then 50 cents a play was expensive.
Right.
I still think it's expensive, but to sum it up, Street Fighter 2 was probably the biggest plant, and once it hit consoles, from Street Fighter 2 the arcade to Championship Edition or Hyper Fighting, whichever you want to call it, Super Nintendo, Genesis, I played it both on consoles. I kind of was reaching out to a lot of other games too, because right when Street Fighter 2 hit, you had Art of Fighting, World Heroes, SNK. Mortal Kombat wasn't quite out when I first started playing, but I did play a lot of like SNK, like Sam Show, as Samurai Shodown is coming around again.
Mm-hmm.
Street Fighter 2, Art of Fighting, Fatal Fury was a big one. I never got to play like the console versions of like Fighter's History, which a lot of people would say that's like a Street Fighter knockoff. But it's hard to say because the early 90s was like everything had to be a Street Fighter. So
yeah.
Once Mortal Kombat hit again, I would just make the rounds with my cousin, and he would just, I would tag along with him. He would give me like $2 or $3, and then I would have to wait my turn because he would just dominate people on Mortal Kombat 2. And it's like, can you stop playing? Because I want to go home. But and he would continue to wreck me on consoles as Mortal Kombat, came home. As far as with Mortal Kombat coming out again, two has always been like fluid wise, damage, just characters. I spent a lot of time playing MK2. Turbo came out, or Super Street Fighter for Super Nintendo. So I was balancing back and forth between consoles and arcades
Mm-hmm.
at the height of like fighting games. And once they started to like slightly decline, you had crossover series. X-Men versus Street Fighter was a big one.
Mm-hmm.
The Marvel superheroes versus Street Fighter, uh, Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and 2. I was at my local arcades. Shout outs to Fairfield Mall, Bolt Arcade. Was one of the first places that I actually got to see a lot of like high level play. And if you really wanted a lot of competition and super high level play, Milpitas Golfland, Sunnyvale Golfland. Those two places, unfortunately, I wouldn't spend a lot of time at fighting games, but when MVC2 was kind of rocking and moving alive, that and CVS2, those are two arcades I did spend a hefty amount as far as fighting games. So anything really related to Street Fighter, I did a lot of. MK2 was a good portion. I played a lot of MK3 when it came home. PlayStation had a bunch of Street Fighter games. CVS2. I spent money on those games. Like I would do as I got older and I had my own money, I continued to just seek out arcades, whether or not they had busted buttons or nothing, or the joystick wasn't working. As long as I can get a few of these combos I can normally do, arcade, I would love to just grab a seat and do what my cousin used to do and just beat people up and take the quarters. So that would be like the everlasting impact as to why I still play Street Fighter, though the game is, it's a different monster as with each iteration.
Yeah.
Championship edition, same characters, 4 bosses. Hyper slash Rainbow had in the arcade. You had Blanca shooting sonic booms. You had Sagat doing tiger uppercuts and then changing into Ryu throwing fireballs. So, crazy stuff like that. And then, we got into like the more systems of like Street Fighter 3, the parrying, which, in my opinion, Street Fighter 3 is definitely the hardest game to really get into because of the parrying aspect. But it's a true 2D fighter. The sprites are beautiful. It's actually the one Street Fighter game I really didn't play a lot of, just based off the difficulty. And right around that time, my cousin actually stopped playing fighting games. He moved on to like FPSs.
Oh, okay.
So, my inspiration kind of stopped at MVC2 because my cousin wasn't really big into that. And CVS2 are probably the last two set of fighting game continuously. Every time I had a chance, oh man, they got CVS2. Oh, it's missing a button, or player 2 side can't block. I'll still play it. Just because it's, for me, like that was kind of like my last stop of like, back play coming back and being able to download. It's not arcade perfect, but just knowing the fact that it's available, it's amazing. It amazes me, and it's $10.
All right, so you got a lot of games that you just listed off. So you said the Street Fighter 2 was pretty much the first one that you dipped your toe into. Was there a certain character that you stuck with, or because it was so early stages, you kind of played whoever?
Yeah, everyone got their hands on Shotos, Ken Ryu. Ken starting to kind of branch out the flaming Shoryuken, and Ryu becoming the master of the fireball. Hits like a dump truck. But in all honesty, like for some reason, when my cousin Arnold, it's actually my cousin Ian's like older cousin from through marriage and stuff. Like I saw him just wreck people with Guile, and it's just like, oh, all you do is hold back and press forward and chuck a fireball. It's just like you don't understand. Oh well, you're not just holding back. You got to block and stuff. There's a patience game to it, and I was like, that style. So any kind of iteration of a charged character per se, more Guile-esque, because flash kick, sonic boom, fierce backhand. Oh man, just the sound of that it's just crack him in the jaw, and it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah. So for Street Fighter 2 series, I would definitely say anyone that played remotely like Guile, like Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2 actually branched out to DJ. He
Okay.
plays he plays definitely more of a mobile Guile. Super Turbo, from what I understand. Um, I mean, his play style is just so fun. I mean, his double roundhouse, his fireball, the slide. He's got more
Mm-hmm.
mobility than Guile. Though Guile is still always one of the strongest characters in the game. When he disappeared and Nash popped out, which was basically Guile 2.0 or 1.0 or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, one-handed Sonic Boom and a cooler looking flash kick, I just couldn't say no. So his first go around with the Alpha series was all right, cool. He's the default Guile character. Multiple Sonic Booms, still plays like Guile. Doesn't have a double crouching roundhouse, 2 hits, so you have to block both hits. But just the idea that he plays like him and he looks real similar, and he's the one that taught him Sonic Boom. I got to go with my dude. And in the if I didn't want to play Nash slash Charlie Alpha series, I played a lot of actually Adon, Sagat's Fireballless. Yeah, I mean just because he's kind of like the opposite. He's in your face and he's gonna elbow you, he's gonna knee you, he's gonna tiger uppercut you, and his design is great.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean that's pretty much who I played in Street Fighter.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
And
you mentioned that around Marvel 2, and I believe it was CVS or CVS 2, you kind of took a break. When was the resurgence back into it?
I would say I kind of stopped playing just right before Evo got really big, actually.
Okay.
So while they were still going, like SoCal East Coast was really building up Evolution,
Mm-hmm.
fighting games in general. That was right around the birth of like esports, kind of like Call of Duty, CS:GO, or not even before that, it was Rainbow Six, I think, or uh, one of those like tactics kind of games where teams are becoming teams and getting like paid a little bit.
Right.
I kind of got busy with another hobby, so for me to really hop back in was actually the culmination of this thing used to be like SoCal Bay Area
Mm-hmm.
post, which became the thing called Evo.
Mm-hmm.
Just started to understand that there's more than just special moves in the character. So the aspect of learning things like spacing, just kind of the overall general rules of learning how to play the fighting game. Spacing, buttons, combos, assists for life. At that time, frame data and all that stuff wasn't really big. It's more so you press this button if it can, if it can beat or trade, then that's the button you would use. At least that's how I was taught. And I mean, I was like Giles in MVC2. He's not that great of a character.
Mm.
He can build meter really fast. And I was like, all right, man, I got to find someone who's kind of trending as far as the tier systems, which was kind of a thing, but not really, at least to my understanding. I just needed someone who could control the horizontal plane. Hey, Iceman's got a 6-hit fireball, why not? And it does a chunk of like block damage, keeps you in block stun, so you can't really press a button. So I was like, and a lot of people would on, more role characters like Trombone or even Spiral for the part. And then you actually had a third character like Sentinel or, Cable. Ugh. Don't talk about Cable. Just learning more matchups, more, oh, this is what you can do. And, just wanting to learn some of the glitches and stuff. Because one of the things, as I was starting to experiment with MVC2, more so than CVS2, was I watched this one combo that I watched like on the monthly basis. And I'm like, how do you do all that stuff without it being like tool assisted? Because there are people that can legit do that stuff, And it's like part of this, and actually that drive to learn part necessarily just the glitches, but being able to understand like this is the reason why the combo works, why the combo doesn't work on certain people, and why you have to not do this part of the combo. Be more, I guess, getting a little, you know, philosophical about it. Like there are certain things that you can and can't do depending on matchup. So that's when my train of thought, started to absorb more, and that's actually when I started driving out to Sacramento. At the time, I was living in Chico. There's no real game scene out there. It's Sacramento or Bay Area. If not, you're going to LA. And from then on, I would just go to local tournaments. And at that time, I was still so used to the arcade stick. I didn't have one.
Mm-hmm.
So my buddy would just kind of like let me borrow it until it broke.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, dude, playing on the pad is so like, it's foreign to me. I mean, I can get away with like Mortal Kombat, but I can't do Street Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do like King of Fighters. I have to have a stick. It's just more natural. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but just my personal preference is stick first and then pad.
Mm-hmm.
Then CVS2 just, that just was another quarter burner for me. Like, I'm just gonna hop in and see where I go with my fundamentals, and try to understand why I'm getting hit. A lot of money on that game, which for me the cast is great. Knowing how the systems work and knowing why certain moves don't hit certain characters in the way that you want it, that was like kind of like why is it happening? It doesn't do that during training.
Mm-hmm.
And then understanding that arcade ports versus console ports have their own bugs, so it's kind of like, oh, that's why it doesn't work. Because I did a lot of practice on the PlayStation 2 version, which is not a direct port. So every chance that I got, I would play the arcade just for the full 100 effect of it. So, I mean, geez, Guile's in that game too, so it's kind of like, I got my other American boy. I got Terry Bogard, and he's one of my favorites of all time. And I can have him and Guile on the team. Then Taekwondo Master Kim Kofwan. I just can't go wrong, man.
There you go.
I just kind of went nuts. Yeah, kind of went nuts.
I had a question. I guess I'll go with a different one. So there's a lot of fighting games, obviously throughout the years, and then there's a lot kind of in recent years with, at least for me personally, it seemed like 2013 was the start of my knowledge of more. That was when I got back into it with KI, and then Street Fighter 4 was kind of wrapping up, and we were leading into Street Fighter 5, and then MKX, and now MK11, and so on. Is there a certain one now that like you really connect with, or is it just kind of hit them all? I guess.
It's weird because like there was a series that I never really played very seriously that's been around and has a really good following, and I'm just actually now getting into like air dashers, aka anime fighters.
Okay.
A big one that I started with from PlayStation 1 because of my cousin Ian. I started Guilty Gear 1 on the PlayStation 1, where the system itself is completely different from what it's evolved to now. And I would say if there was, I'm definitely not afraid to try random games, or I wouldn't say random games, but games I've never played.
Right.
I believe that's what I would do if I went to anime conventions. Like, anime conventions are great because you get to see games that aren't in America or that are only in specific like locations. Like a lot of East Coast places, a lot of SoCal places have like Fist of North Star, the fighting game, the arcade game. Have a full Melty Blade arcade, which I'm sure you look it up. It's a pretty nutty game. It's just anime games are so, that's like a genre of fighting games. I don't want to say I regret. I just feel that I tried it and it wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
I found a couple of games that are like really intriguing me. It's kind of like, if I had the same feel for anime games, or at least the generational jump or the feel, in general, it would feel a little more natural. So, I'm learning right now. I'm actually going to pick up what's this game? It was a surprise anime game for Evo Unis.
Yeah.
What is it? Fate Underbirth XA something.
Something.
But
yeah.
It's nuts, and it's just like there's a character that I play in there that I've tried for about 5 hours. She's kind of like the Guile equivalent, but
Mm-hmm.
that game it's not, you know, it's Street Fighter with DBZ without the super jumps and dashing. Well, I'm saying dashing, but um, you know, not like Street Fighter where it's like you can mash one button,
Mm-hmm.
auto comboing.
Right.
So getting to understand that, it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I could do that, but then when I get to this, I can't press this button
Mm-hmm.
to cancel other stuff. So I know I'm getting a little too worried about it, but just knowing that that is that is an effect in specific genres like Dragon Ball Z. Guilty Gear doesn't have that. I don't think you can
Mm-hmm.
just mash jab and it doesn't chain into like medium or strong. You just stay
No.
as a jab. So I would definitely say like I'm not afraid to try different games as I don't think I'm ready to try like at a tournament, let alone a local tournament. But casuals, I'm down to learn just to understand the mechanics of the game because there's like there's so many features in that Unis game that's like each person has their own little quirk. Like one person can't get counter hit, which is the character that I picked, Batista. Um, Someone has ammo. Someone can call this monster lizard thing, and you have to fight the lizard thing, hit it twice, and then it goes away or something like that. And just understanding that they want you to be aggressive
Mm-hmm.
because there's like a meter at the underneath like a meter that builds up, and every 7 seconds, whoever has more space on that grid, then you get like I guess it's called like a Roman cancel, which allows you to chain something that you normally can't do.
Oh, okay.
So there's an advantage. There's an advantage in taking up more space or being more offensive. Let alone, it's not just a strictly offensive game. I play very defensively. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing first of all, but just knowing that you can charge partition just by pressing A twice. You can throw out a little slow ball, and then she has a reverse sonic boom. So as soon as you throw the ball out, you can use that to trail you if you get ahead. And then you hold forward for 2 seconds, and then you press back with a punch. Then she gets a straight beam.
Mm.
So it's like, oh, I guess part of her trickiness is being able to utilize a regular sonic boom charge,
Mm-hmm.
the beam charge, and then some other things I don't understand. But and it's so like it's so fast. I think my eyes are adjusting. I felt like when I not really backtrack, but we're gonna go to like Mortal Kombat. Actually, getting to play the beta was really good because
Mm-hmm.
I was very. I think I talked to you about this before. Was that the movement was
Yeah.
for me is going to be an issue because I felt that not to knock Injustice 2, it's a game that my eyes never adjusted to,
Okay.
which is the reason why I actually never really spent that time to play Marvel 3 because it was too fast and my eyes just never adjusted.
Okay.
Which is the reason why I didn't spend a lot of time with that than I did with MVC2. But being able to see how the game moves I think me and Danny, shout outs to Catstein, we played for about 5 or 6 hours when we had the initial beta, and like the movement was great regardless of like internet. I don't think we had bad choppy internet connection.
No, yeah.
But a lot of the matches were I'm hitting the button, it's coming out, or I'm doing the command and it's coming out, and
For sure.
it is a little tricky playing on a non-traditional Mortal Kombat stick where you have to have a center block button. So it's kind of like I'm playing my arcade stick and I'm using X to block, and I got to play with my other 4 fingers. So it's like, oh, this is so crazy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, yeah.
I'm not using a pad. Otherwise, I would just use L2.
Right.
But the movement of that game and just the feel of it felt pretty Mortal Kombat 2 like. So for me, it passes my eye test because I can understand what's going on. It didn't feel clunky like I thought it was going to feel because that's how I feel. That's my opinion on Injustice 2. For me, just a little clunky. And I feel that MK11, I think for me, I'll spend some time on it, to be honest. Like, it just, I don't know, it just has this natural flow. And even MK3 didn't have like that natural flow like MK2 did, which is why I spent more time playing MK2. And I'm using that relation as to I can probably buy this game and probably spend a good amount of time on it. And this is like when I did MK10, going back to MK10, I definitely was like on the hype. I got it because I got the arcade stick.
Yeah.
To be honest, I was like, dude, they come with an MK1 logo stick, basic stick, but I'll spend the $120, whatever. And
Yep. I still remember our Saturday morning conversation. Leaving class, MKX, went and bought it on a whim, and then came back and was like, I got it.
and so like I feel with like the variants and stuff. Like I mean, I'm not even gonna go into that just because I would say that that was like my only takeaway from that was just the whole variant system.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it should have been that free as far as like creative, which I get. Which but again, this is another topic for another day. But going back to the feel of Mortal Kombat 11 for me felt pretty smooth, and again, I could see what was going on in the screen. I could see why I was getting hit. I can see why I didn't press block and stuff. So understanding why I'm getting what do they call those fatal moves or whatever?
Oh, the crushing blows.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that was cool. Then I get fatality right afterwards. Man, that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
No, it feels good, and again, this time around, I'm not trying to. I feel that it's gonna live up to the hype for me because MK10 didn't, and I was like, I'll just wait until like the super great all seasons pass one comes out for $30, which is what I did. So,
all right. I guess my last question. I got it back. What makes you want to keep playing fighting games? Like, what do you enjoy out of it? Like, obviously, everybody's got their own genre and stuff, and fighting game community, kind of on the smaller end, and most people like, oh, I'm just gonna mash this button kind of thing if they're just playing it willy-nilly. So like, what do you enjoy about it? What do you get from it, I guess? What makes you want to keep going back and play?
Dang, I could write like an essay about that. To be honest, like for me, it is the total escape from everything. Video games in general has been that for me. Like, I'm having a not so good day, I'm gonna pop in a game. I mean, if I get salty because of online shenanigans or whatever, it's part of the grind. And for me, that leads into the grind. That I've gone to tournaments and I've had a taste of pretty big, professional tournaments. Being able to insert my interview of trying to test my strength against other people has always been kind of my goal towards FGC. To be honest, part of it, whether it is to see if I'm playing the character correctly, to learn why I'm getting hit, to get matches, to win. I mean, you don't really, of course you don't. When you first start out, you're not, especially now that everything is like console or at home. You don't have to go to the arcade. You're risking a quarter to play. I have to feel like that. Like I just put my quarter in, and I have to win. Otherwise, it's game over for me, and I lose a quarter.
Right.
So to say that I play to win, that would be the aspect of it. In general, it's to, continuously train to stay almost with everything, to stay up with the common trend as far as fighting games. And I just feel like I've had some of my buddies out here tell me I have like a character dilemma because style player, but I've always liked Nash's design, and Nash, I kind of got into a talk with Danny, aka Castine, that he plays certain characters because of things that remind him of more playability. Like I get more enjoyment having to work hard with Nash versus getting wins with Guile because people complain that he's really strong, which he's always been pretty strong in the whole series. I think the only thing that he was not that great at was Street Fighter Alpha 3, and that was for PlayStation 1 only. But to know that I play because I enjoy the character, not necessarily to insert me as I'm Nash, but more so like I enjoy the struggle to know why I'm getting hit. Why the scrambles when it takes the next two hits and to see who has a better defense in the heat of battle. And then there are times when I hate it, when I get blown up and I get double perfected. You know, I went up against, geez, in the last two professional tournaments I went to, I went up against, and they smoked me. But you know what? I came back with the attitude that next time, instead of getting double perfected, I'm going to take 50% off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it helps me set goals that will help me realize that I can be successful when I'm learning trial by fire. You know, why am I getting blown up? Because I'm realizing that I'm doing things that normally would work online. They don't work offline. So to be a more successful and more competent player, that's why I go to these casuals. That's why I go to the monthly tournaments when I can. And being able to showcase it. Just last night, you know, I was on Twitch for, a couple hours. But I got invited to, or I jumped in a battle lounge with, shout outs to Chet the Jet. And, you know, I went probably like eight total rounds with, I think the lobby was full at like 3/4 of the time, so about 7 to 8 people. And I played a character no one really plays very much anymore, which is Nash, because he's just tough to do the things that you need to do to win. And for me, like, I get more fulfillment being able to showcase that and understand why I'm being blown up. So, my passion to be a competent person, competent gamer, competent fighting gamer, and overall just being able to earn my respect, because I don't look at it as, I could play Guile, but I play him and so like autopilot, as in like I just do the same thing regardless of the situation. And that's the reason why I get blown up. And realizing when you get into that autopilot mode, it's like red flags. You can't do it. That's how you're gonna lose your opportunity to win, which is what happened to me. I remembered last year. Last year I went to Seattle, Northwest Majors, my second professional tournament. I trained with a guy who has a much better Akuma than the guy I played. And I didn't get smoked, but I lost in the scramble. So from being able to understand a situation, as in who's got more meter, who's got the V trigger, what are his tendencies? Is he gonna throw? Is he gonna jump? Why is he doing this? You know, you have to think about all that while you're playing. And it's like live sparring. Why is he throwing a roundhouse? Why is he, is he gonna switch stance? Is he gonna go back? Is he going to steep kick me, or is he only going to attack my left side? It's knowing that I lost to a person who I know I should have beat, and coming back knowing that if I match up with him, there should be no reason that I lose to this guy. And I would say, one of the other things too is, getting to meet other people, other streamers. It's amazing. I've met someone who I've been following for, like 10 months now. And I got to play with some of her friends. Shout out to Snuggy Bunny. I didn't get matches with her, but I got matches with her friends who also stream. So, I just want to showcase that one of her friends plays Nash as well. So it's like I have to show my might and show out, basically, not be afraid to be like, oh well, he just out Nashed me, when I've been playing Nash since like day one. So the run back is always there.
Yeah.
Is it a salty one? I've been waiting 1 year just to get a match, because every time I hop in a lounge, like, he doesn't want to jump in, or he's at work. So it's like, no, I would never say anyone would want to duck me, because I'm terrible at Street Fighter 5. But it's part of me that's like, in order for me to get better, I have to take these losses and understand why I got lost, why I got beat. Went to Red Bull Conquest last year. Again, this is last year. First interview ever for something that big. I gotta understand why I'm taking these L's, and then we can turn it, into W's. I think that's not exactly
Yep.
what I said, but I let the hands walk. I let it go, and when push comes to shove, tournament time, I got to be able to, button check. I got to be able to, punch someone in the mouth via forward fierce punch, and understand why that didn't work, and try to not get discouraged, because getting discouraged is so rough.
Sucks.
I'm 6 hours away for me to sulk and be like, "Oh, that sucked. That was like the worst experience ever." It's like, all right, so like you're out of the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
There's still casuals. There are still people who are very good level, who are still learning the game, that are like, dude, just let's go. Let's have some sets, man. So, I get so much fulfillment, just the whole testing my strength, wanting to get better, wanting to understand, meeting people, and of course getting the W's. I mean, getting W's is important, but those first four, like, to me, it's just like it's a perfect role playing game movie. It's a good story.
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to get sponsored and stuff? I mean, yeah, that's nice, but that comes with like winnings. Like,
yeah.
For me, it's just being. I've met big names. I've met the Evo champ Problem X. He's a cool guy. I've met hilarious. He's a family man now, but the 20 minutes I got to talk with him last year, man, it meant a lot. And being able to see him versus a high level Guile player, like Seattle's best Guile player, Chris CCH, shout out to that guy too. Guy's like 17, 18 years old. That guy's a monster. And just being able to see that, and I mean, Chris G, I got to see him play as Ibuki. I didn't get to see him play as Sakura, but I don't know if he still does, or his Guile. But being the exposure is nice, but being able to just talk and meet with these people and get some wisdom, barring if they want to spew it out or not. It's so, for me, it's so like soulful. It's so like refreshing. It's so, it means a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So time maybe I can showcase against someone and not get thrown 7 times in a row like Nasser did to me. Another pro guy who was yo, throw. That's rule number 1. Take the throw. All right, it took like 6 more of those. Like, I'm not listening to that rule. But it's the whole experience. I mean, that's why I do it. That's why I continue to come back. Even Street Fighter 5, a game I thought I wasn't going to be playing as much. I mean, I tried to do Soul Calibur 6, but the whole variant and custom character stuff, that all got busted because now you're changing people's hitboxes, they're changing their links.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, things that will normally work on characters of this build will not work if they have certain characters' move list because their hitboxes are small. I mean, there's a lot of things I can complain about that. Even Tekken 7, I mean, a game I thought I would never play. I'm actually going back to that too, just because, oh man, we got like 3 or 4 guys that want to casual it up, and I'm like, I used to play Tekken. I'm not very confident, but it's the whole experience, as a whole, like that's why I continue to do it. If I can make more big tournaments, I would love to. My goal staggered a bit, but I was hoping to make NCR, which just happened last week, because that was in San Jose. That was to Keto, I believe he took it. Akuma took the tournament, and I've got Northwest Avengers in Seattle, 27-28. I already punched my ticket in a couple of days ago, so I could save $5.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? That $5 can be gas money. So
yeah. So you kind of touched on it, and I think my second topic is going to be a little bit better transition into. So we're going to push yours to third. But just before we kind of roll into the second part of my topic, you mentioned a lot of like learning what works, like picking up on these things as you play. And I think that's a big thing that a lot of people just don't understand unless they're in the fighting game community. Like a lot of people, they're button mashing, blah, blah, blah. Like, I get it. But like you and I are definitely on different levels of skill. And then obviously, they got everybody else, like you were talking about, like there's a ladder here. But like even being at my low rung on the ladder here of slowly getting more into fighting games, like talking with you and talking with Danny and just trying to get better myself, even watching Max, like picking up on things, I can definitely see these components come into play and understand them more. And sometimes it's a slow burn, because I remember playing Marvel vs. Capcom 3, both vanilla and Ultimate Online, getting trashed and just the rage ensuing, and like, I'm never playing online because everybody's an asshole and this and that. But then picking up on, okay, now I get it. You play no defense. That's why you're getting your ass whooped. And then, like, I dabbled a little bit with MKX Online. That went okay. Same with Injustice 2. But I kind of want to try my hand more with it. And this past year, was it this past year? Maybe it was the last year. I don't know when Dragon Ball FighterZ came out. But slowly getting into that. And then, yeah, Mortal Kombat 11. This was the first online beta I participated with the free one and then the pre-order one. And I mean, yeah, the win-loss record was ass still. I think I ended up going like 18-70 something. So whatever. But the 18, that's still something that I'm proud of. And it's interesting now. I did stream a session of the beta recently. But like being able to pick up on somebody's moves, maybe taking the loss that first round and being like, okay, I saw he did a lot of this. For example, Scorpion. If you don't know, Scorpion does a lot of fucking teleports. There was a guy that was literally every time he got the chance, teleports coming out. I'm like, all right, here we go. Teleport. Oh, look at that. And I'm blocked and ready, and then I'm doing my thing. So it's kind of almost like a chess game where you have all these components in it. Yeah, you can look at it as simple. You're moving this piece, then you move this piece, and then eventually one person wins. But if you really get in the nitty-gritty thick of things, there's a lot of different moves you can things you could do, and moves that can play out. So I just want people to know that who maybe don't like fighting games or maybe aren't into them like as much. There's a lot that goes into these things, and it's the same for any game really. Like the MOBAs, League of Legends, first-person shooters. Like, there's a ton of stuff that goes into it. And I'm not trying to discourage anybody from getting into fighting games. You gotta start somewhere. If you just like it because all the shiny and flashy stuff, cool, do you. But if you want to get into it, then just be patient, because that's another thing that I've, like I said, learned online. Originally, I'd go on, pissed off, now I don't want to do it. I'm still, there's times, you get salty. You just got to realize, okay, take a step back, whatever, come back again. But yeah, it's cool to kind of, like I said, pick up on all these little intricacies here and there. I still don't understand frame data, and I don't think I ever will. But at least knowing, okay, this is a high, this is a low, this is where you need to block, this is a string, this is a combo, there's a cooldown, blah, 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 like all the little pieces. It's cool to pick up and learn on. I don't think I'll ever take it to the level you will or other people will, but it's another way to kind of expand the game and get more out of it, I guess, ultimately. And it's neat to have those people that want to play in casuals, like you say, and just learn. Like, hey, let's play against each other and see what we can learn from each other to get better. And I think that's great.